Okay, there's a couple of ideas for you. If you're considering using an automatic gate opener with a utility gate, a cheap utility gate at that, 80 bucks at Tractor Supply or whatever. The metal is so thin, aluminum or small metal, I'm not sure what gauge, but it's so thin that it bends easy. And if you're going to use a gate opener, as you can tell, that's not extended right now, but this will come up to here. And I have a stop on there. I'll go down there and show you that in a minute. With this put in here, and I set this thing to stop, let's say as soon as this gate touches, I wait for about 1 second and then push the button to set the timer for this thing to stop. And each time it does that, I'll show you the stop, what I'm saying. If you didn't have this on there, it wouldn't butt up against it. It would just kind of swing and you'd judge it, I guess, about when your gate got center or whatnot, and you would hit the stop button on there to set the timer. You just have a free floating gate. But if you want this thing to butt up and come to a stop and just be kind of snug against this, whatever you got, your railroad tire, fence post, then you'd have to set it for maybe, I'd say, a second. That way it'll hit and then still continue, so it'll give it a good push against this gate and hold it snug. Only problem with that, with these cheap gates, when you've got the force of this thing wanting to push in, if it doesn't bend, it's wanting to bow the gate. Well, I've done two little things. I've taken the cable here, can't even think of what I'm talking about, wrapped it around my top piece, as you can see, notched it. I don't even forget what these call, these little buckle in the center. Then I come down here. Couldn't put it on the bottom one because it would slide up or this way, I guess, unless you just wanted to wrap it here and then wrap it there. It'd be kind of funny. But I just went around it one good time here and went up. And I went to the outside of the gate for the purpose of when this pushes, it wants to bow out. If you got that cable tightened on the outside of the gate, it'll kind of fight that bow. If that cable was on the inside of the gate, it'd be working with your gate opener, pushing that way. So anytime it bowed, that cable would it actually become looser. It wouldn't serve its purpose. It takes the bounce out of this thing when the gate is opening, and it also keeps that end from sagging a lot. Okay, and it keeps it from sagging, keeps it from bowing. But the main deal, like I said, if you're gonna have this gate come to a stop down there, you really want to reinforce this thing. I'll quit making noise, I can talk again. This was here, okay? The bolts ran all the way through. You can see how damaged this thing was. This is before I fabricated a piece of metal with angle iron. I'll show you that in a minute, I'll get to it. But really, if you had this fabricated piece of metal and this cable on the outside, it'll work. Because I've actually put this thing, I can't even talk today. The angle iron has already been installed on there, because you can see the bolt holes. I've just taken it off so I could sand it down and paint it, because it was starting to rust pretty good. It's going to be the same color. But you'll notice this, you'll see the piece I'll have here in a minute, where this will install to that, because when it was pushing against it, once that gate came to a stop, it just, more and more, the weight of that thing just crushed this deal, and it just got where this was slacky. And it would just, if I continued to just keep adjusting, it would have just folded this thing in flat, and it would have been worthless. But we'll come back here in a little bit and I'll show you the fabricated piece that I put on. I'll actually show it in action. Okay, here's my fabricated piece. It's going to mount onto the gate. It's basically a piece of angle iron. It's notched out on the top and the top there, and you'll see why here in a minute. And there's another piece of angle iron, about 4 inches. You'll just have to make measurements accordingly to whatever gate you got. You can see how that's going to work. The actual gate opener itself will mount to here. The bolts will go through here and it'll be bolted down from the back side, so that won't squish in. And it's pretty much saddling the tubing of the gate. And when you tighten it down, this is where it's going to take all the force. It won't be on that tubing at all. You'll see I got some bolt holes, as I showed you on the gate. These lined up. I mean, we saddled this thing onto the gate and drilled the bolt holes as we did it. So you don't have to be precise on your markings. But anyways, I'll get this thing on the gate and show you how it works. Alright, as you can see, I got it working again. 15 seconds, it's going to close, but I'll throw it in real quick. There's my notches because of this support. There's a notch on that because it's that support. And that piece of angle I welded on is actually holding the gate opener itself. It's not putting that tubing there. It's not putting that tubing in a bind at all. You'll notice when this thing closes, it's going to seat against the wood over there, the board. It's going to seat pretty tight. And also that cable that I've got down there that I showed you earlier, it's keeping this gate from bouncing. Before that cable's on, it's steadied up. Come on, girl. And you'll see right here, watch. Good and tight. It's a good solid firm seat. It's not bouncing. And that cable, like I said, being on the outside, it keeps it kind of prevents it from bowing in while that's pushing in and trying to bow that gate toward the outside. That cable keeps it straight. If you were to put that cable on this side, it's just assisting with that gate arm trying to push things out. It's almost like a bow and arrow. When you pull back, you notice it would flex more. Being this gate would be the wood itself of the bow. It would just help it bow more. Put it on the opposite side of it, opposite side of your gate. All right, hope this helps out. Any questions, let me know.